Average, back with another car video. Today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things in the game right now, in any card game pretty much, but of course we're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's mind games. I think mind games have always been part of the game since the beginning. It's something that's like, it could give you, I'm not going to say the edge, but it could help you make reads on your opponent, and making reads is fundamental. Like, I think making reads is what separates an average player to an above average player in the game. If you can make a good read, you'll know which route to take your combo, you'll know which route, like which end board to make, what card to go into. So it's safe to say that making reads is definitely part of the game, and it's definitely part of an above average Yu-Gi-Oh player. So I'm gonna tell you some mind games that you could incorporate today. Let's say you're going to Logos today, you can incorporate these mind games, and I'm not gonna say that these these things are gonna make you win a whole event or do something like that, but let's say in the course of a very big tournament, I think they can help you add 1 to 2 wins, game wins, not match wins, like 1 to 2 game wins to your tournament. And with these tips, if you start incorporating everything, you could automatically, I think, just top a regional just by incorporating a bunch of these tips that I have on this channel. So for the first mind game is, I really hope people from my locals don't see this, but it's something that I do almost every game. It seems like fluff, it seems like a little bit stupid, but basically, if I have a spell card that's a push, and then I have another push, let's say for instance I'm playing Dragon Link, right? And I have my Star Leech Safer Dragon, and then I also have a Chaos Space with another card to pitch for Chaos Space, right? I would normally, what you could do is normal summon Safered, and then if that gets stopped, then you use Chaos Space from your hand, right? And personally, I'd rather have my Safered Ash than my Chaos Space. To be honest, I don't really play Dragon Link, but let's say you want your Chaos Space to resolve, because you could also add the level 8 Dragon, right? So what I would do is I would set Chaos Space and then normal summon Safered, and then your opponent's gonna be they're gonna think, why is this person setting a card and then normal summoning Safered? That makes no sense. Now, your opponent is more likely to stop the Safered after they see you set a card, rather than the opposite, which is if you're just going to normal summon Safered and keep the Chaos Space in your hand. Now, even though they might know that the right play is to save Ash or whatever, the average player, or even above average player, is going to see you set a card. So right now, you're giving them knowledge, which sounds bad, but you're giving them knowledge that you want to give them. You want to tell them that, okay, you have one less playable card in your hand, because it's not an average thing to do. It's not a normal thing to do. It's a very, very bumpy over here. It's not a normal thing to do to set a card and then start playing the game. That's not known. No one does that, right? So they're thinking now, okay, they have one less playable card in their hand, subconsciously. This also goes if you draw an engine trap card, right? Let's say you draw, I don't know, for example, let's say you're playing Tidying, right? The Dragon Maid card. I would say to set that first and then start playing the game if you want them to stop the first thing that you do. So that's one small mind game that I do, and you could implement this, I think, in most decks, right? I do this now with Kashtira. I'll special summon I'll set Theosis, then special summon Unicorn, because I know I'm gonna activate Theosis regardless. So that's one thing. A second mind game is this kind of helps when you're going second. And I do this pretty often when I go second. Let's say my opponent has, they're playing Tri-Brigade, and they have Appaloosa, Revolt, and then they set another card and they pass. Now during their end phase, I'm just gonna take a quick look at their board, and I'm gonna vocalize, okay, so you have, just to clarify, you have an Appaloosa for 3, 3 negates. You have set Revolt, and you set an imperm, okay, and then you draw for turn, and it's good to vocalize these things because you'll keep it in your mind. You're not going to forget about the revolt and where it was set. You're not going to forget about that Appaloosa has 3 negates. So you kind of just clarifying what's done. But by saying, oh yeah, and you have a set imperm, or you might have a set imperm, sure, your opponent might not respond to that statement, but it's happened to me multiple times where my opponent was like, wait, how did you know I have a set imperm? Or they gave some type of feedback that basically told me they had an imperm. So one time this guy, actually it's happened multiple times, where the person was like, wait, how'd you know I have a set imperm? And I said, well, I didn't, but you just told me. And then it ended up being an imperm. So that's kind of funny. So that's the second kind of mind game. Now for the third one, it's something that I do post-siding almost every single time, especially when I'm going first. I'll act underconfident when I have a really good hand, and I'll act very confident, which even when I'm acting underconfident, I'm still very confident. But I'll act way more confident if I have a bad hand, right? So when you're acting very confident and not giving a lot of signals, you're being very stiff, your opponent, you're not saying a story to your opponent. You're not telling them anything. You're not giving them any information. So they might even hold their negates till later on into your combo, which could be a good thing, right? Because if you could start playing some of the cards that you need to resolve to even start playing the game, they might let those cards slide. So that's another mind game. I encourage everyone to read. I think everyone should read Patrick Hoban's book, Road to the King, even though it has a bunch of old things in it. I think just reading that book alone, it helps you add 1 to 2 wins in your next event. I think that's everything about the book is amazing, and can help you. But there is a section that has mind games, and he actually talks about it's similar to the thing that I said with Imperm. He talks about that, but with Torrential Tribute, right? So there's a lot of mind games that you could read and try to incorporate from that book. But yeah, that's it for this video. One of my favorite things about this game is the mind games, and I feel like I do a lot more. I just don't remember them now on the top of my head, but I'm definitely gonna make a part 2 video about this topic.